Hello and welcome to Hunting Mirage's video log number 13 for 16th of March 2020. And today's vlog is all about the fact that 2 nights ago, on the Saturday night over the weekend, I had my first ever performance as Hunting Mirages. Really, the first performance I've ever done of my own original material, like just a whole show. Probably like 25 years ago, I was in a band where, I helped write some of the music, but it wasn't really, it wasn't my music as such. And most of the music was, the guy who ran that band, was mostly his music. But this is the first time I've done a show of my music. And, it's been such a long time coming that I was able to actually get to the point where I could put on a show. And I finally put on a show and it went really well. I'm really happy with the show that I put on. It's funny because lots of things went worse than I hoped, and yet they mattered less than I was worried that they would. And so the overall experience was just awesome. Even though a whole bunch of things went wrong, it kind of didn't matter. And, I was kind of, just for my own mindset, because, I'm a perfectionist and it's very easy for me to get all up in my head and worried about things, and that, when things start to go wrong, to get really stressed. And so, I made sure to keep the mindset that mistakes didn't matter and that I was just going to have a good time. And, all that mental preparation paid off, as well as all the preparation of actually, all the practice that I've done and trying to make sure that everything was just right, which meant that on the night, 75% of it went off the way it was supposed to, and the other 25%, honestly, it really wasn't a big deal. There are a number of times where, because in my set, I call it guitar karaoke, because I'm actually, I'm playing the guitar lead, like the synth lead part on the guitar, over the top of just a backing track that is the rest of the track that I've written with the lead removed. And so I'm standing there playing the synth over the top of a backing track. And so, if I mess up a bit, the song keeps going, and then I could just pick up where I left off and keep playing. And, my big fear, because I had this many times while I was practicing, was that when I messed up, or sometimes I would just lose my way in a song, and I would completely forget how this part of the song goes. I haven't listened to the song enough times that at any moment in the song I can just recall exactly where the melody is supposed to be at. And so for some of the songs, it's like, if I start at the beginning and I keep going through the song, I can remember each part of the song as I get to it. But if I'm just to drop into the middle of the song at any given moment, I'll be like, I'm not sure what the lead is here, because, I'm not on the path. And I was worried that, because sometimes when I'm practicing, if I actually mess up and I lose my place, then I can't remember where I was up to. And I can't remember, I can't actually recall what the lead line is supposed to be doing right now so that I can resume where I was. But that didn't happen at all during the show, which I was very happy about. And, I had a safety net anyway. And honestly, I think that this helped me to not freak out. Was I had a safety net in that, because the show is it's a backing track and I'm playing the lead line, I did also have the lead line, the original lead line, on another channel that was muted. Because while I'm at home and I'm practicing the lead lines, I need to be able to hear the lead line so that I know that I'm playing the right thing. And so I've always had the lead line just independently on a separate channel that I can mute or put the volume up or down so I can hear the lead line separate to the backing, and so I can learn. And so when it came time to actually do the performance, I just muted that lead line, and then I'm just playing my synth. And so at any moment, if I get completely lost, I can just unmute the track that I'm supposed to be playing, and everything is whole. And then I can hear what's going on, and we're up to this bit, and then I can mute the lead line again and resume playing live the bit that I'm up to. And I did do that once for about 5 seconds, because I lost my place. I was like, where am I up to? I hit the unmute. I heard the lead line play out, and at the end of that passage, I hit mute again and resumed playing. And it was awesome. But like, honestly, most people don't know how it's supposed to go. And everybody says that, but you're still like, but I want it to be how it goes. Yeah, I know how it goes. And if it's not going the right way, then, that's wrong. But it wasn't a problem. There were a few moments where I improvised a bit. There are quite a few moments where I screwed up completely. And just, sometimes I had a little bit of like foldback problem where I couldn't quite hear what note I was on the keyboard, and like I'm playing a passage like slightly off, and I can't actually hear it, and then after a while I'm like, oh no, I'm on the wrong note there, but it didn't matter because most of the rest of the track is just playing off a backing track, and it's like 90% there even if I'm completely screwing up. So it was great, and my partner made a awesome outfit for me and did some stage makeup, and that looked great. One thing that wasn't so great, because I had fully planned to try to video it and like set up some good lighting and video the whole performance so that I could have a video to put on my channel. But unfortunately, the whole weekend, like most of the weekend, because this was a private party on a private property that was like out in the bush, so it's like a bushland property, and we were sort of down the back. It was like a camping sort of bush doof sort of setup. And the unfortunate thing is that it rained almost the entire weekend, and the stage was under a marquee, but the entire audience area was like just all out, and it was kind of just drizzling throughout like most of the time, like leading up to the performance and while the performance was on, etc. And so that meant I could not set up any camera gear out off the stage to look back at the stage, which was a real shame. I couldn't put any lighting out there to light it better. I couldn't put a camera out there on a tripod so that I could frame everything correctly to get the shot that I wanted. And so all we ended up doing is we put the tripod just right on the front corner of the stage, like literally right next to where I'm standing, and just pointed straight at me. And so it's this really close-in shot where the keytar is like half off the bottom of the screen, and we just hit record and we left it. But so the camera angle of the shot is terrible, but we did capture it. I do have a complete video. Even though we just couldn't set things up the way I wanted. Another thing that was, a bit of a lesson was that it took me a lot longer to get ready to actually be ready to play. And so there were a number of less important things like setting up lighting and cameras and things that I would like to have spent more time doing. Even just setting up a microphone, because your microphone wasn't really part of my set. But I wanted to have a mic there just to be able to say things to the audience. And I had a problem where I hadn't spent a lot of time setting up the mic because it wasn't central to the set. But then when the show started and I went to use the mic, it was just horrible feedback. And so I just couldn't use it. A few times I tried just turning it up to just under the feedback and then just saying a few things, and it was just kind of quiet, and people, my partner's out there in the audience going, turn it up. And I'm like, I can't. Like, it's just horrible feedback if I go any higher. So, lots of lessons learned. But afterwards, when it was all done, I had like at least 4, I think 5 separate conversations over the next hour or two while I was hanging out, because it was, it's a party of about 25 people, and we're all just hanging out for all weekend. And I had like 4 or 5 different people come up to me and just say, thank you so much for putting on that show. That was actually really amazing. And I could see, I've sought a lot of feedback from people over the years for my music, and I've come to understand, like, hardly anyone will ever wants to tell you that they didn't like it, or that it's not their thing, or they're just not interested. Like, the people are just way too polite to actually say, yeah, it was crap, hey. But, and so I've become very adept at reading people's various positive reviews. Because, if people really aren't into it, they'll just be like, yeah, that was good. Next subject, and like, and then, then there are people who are like, hey, that was really good. It's great that that you got up there and did that thing. Like that must be really satisfying for you. And you can tell that they're kind of they're really happy for you that you're doing your thing, and they want to encourage you to do your thing, but it's not their thing. They're not really into it, and that's a lovely thing for people. I have no, nothing against people who want to encourage you, even though they're not into your thing. I actually really appreciate that kind of encouragement, that people can see beyond their interest in something to recognize the passion that you have in something. And then there are the people who actually like what you're doing, and and they don't talk about it in terms of you. They talk about it in terms of their experience, and they'll be like, "Oh, and that part of that song that went boom, that was awesome." And you can tell they get lit up, like their face lights up when they're like, "Oh, I just experienced something that excited me, man. That was cool," And it's very rare that I get those kind of reactions to my music. Most people are just like, yeah, man, that's good, cool. And that's it. And you can just tell in their face that they just don't want to say, yeah, no, it's not my cup of tea. Which I'm perfectly happy for people to say. I'd just be like, yeah, I know, and I'm a really weird fucking synth maniac. Not everybody is. That's cool. But I had like 4 or 5 people come up to me afterwards, genuinely lit up and excited by the performance that I put on. And even like people who are not necessarily into this kind of synth music that I play, but I could tell that, I'd put on enough of a show, the outfit, the guitar, the lighting, the video, that I drew them into it. I was actually able to draw them into my world, even though it might not have been necessarily their thing, or they didn't think it was their thing. There was one guy there was definitely his thing, and I need to follow up with him because he is one of my fans, whether he knows it or not. And but I drew people in, and they were genuinely drawn into what I was doing, and they got it, and they were like, man, that was cool. I could see they were lit up in their faces and in their eyes, and the way that they talked about it was very, very satisfying. That is the reaction that I look for, and I got it. And I could not be happier right now. So that went amazingly well. The videoing didn't go so well, but oh well. Can't help bad weather. That was just the way it was. I still put on the show. The crowd was happy. That's the most important thing. And other than that, I will get the video of the performance up. What I'm probably going to do, because I really wanted to use the performance video to like do some new film clips for my songs instead of just the images that I've had before. But what I'm probably going to do, since I did also, another thing I didn't get to do technical wise was I didn't actually take a mixing desk recording of the performance, which I'm not terribly sad about, because there were lots of bits where I screwed up. There wasn't a great performance, like in terms of getting it all correct. So what I'm probably going to do is in the next week or two, I'm going to redo the whole performance, full dress rehearsal in the studio, so that I have like a full 1 hour video of me doing my live set in the studio with all the best lighting and everything set up so it looks schmick and a well played performance, etc. And then when I use those videos, I will cut in live footage like that's synchronized to the same place in the song, and I'll use the live footage as like B-roll. Maybe. We'll see, because the framing of the shot wasn't great either, because of how limited we were with the camera placement. Because I'm standing at the front edge of the marquee, like the edge of the marquee is like right here, and the camera's like right there, and even though my S10e has a pretty good wide angle shot, it's still like it's basically waist up shot of me playing the guitar when I have the guitar slung pretty low. So we'll see how it goes. My partner also was walking around with a camera and took some shots from out in the crowd. So we'll try and mix some of them in as well. But anyway, that was my live performance. I'm really, really happy about it. And now that I've come back, I'm really excited about where things are going at the moment, because I've got a whole lot of media. I've got a whole lot of content that I've just created that, I'm like, we have a ton of work to do. Just getting, I've got the photo shoot that I did last weekend. I've got the performance I did just this weekend gone. And I've started to hit another problem. And that problem is that I've got gigs and dozens of gigs, hundreds of gigabytes of media now that I need to manage. And I've got my partner helping me with some of the video editing and what have you. And actually moving data between phones and computers and everything is starting to become a serious problem. I've actually, at first we were using Google Drive, to sync data off our phones up to Google Drive. And then, since I was already doing that, I started using Google Drive just to sync between computers here on our local network, because I don't have not local storage. And it's just slow and using so much of our data allocation. I mean, I've got 500 gig on my home internet, but last month I used 80% of it, which is much. It was about 90% of it by the end of the month, which is a lot more than I've used in the past. And I'm just like, this is stupid. I need to stop doing this. And so today I went out and bought a NAS. This is my first proper home NAS. And, I've been wanting to put it together a NAS for a while, but, because I'm a computer guy, I build my own computers. I'm very happy to nerd out on, building machines and, installing, custom OS setups for, doing a home NAS or a home server or something like that. But I don't really have time for it, quite frankly. My time is better spent actually working on the music project stuff rather than building custom home servers. And the other thing that I've learned over the years is that, custom building stuff, it's lots of fun. It's a great hobby, but it's a real time suck. And they tend to require more maintenance than I would like. And, when I've already got, I'm already in time triage and trying to sort out, put my time on the best parts of the project, screwing with, a custom computer setup as a NAS and then relying on it with the rest of the project and then having to spend time maintaining it because it's a bit of a Frankenstein setup and, even just the initial setup time of configuring and learning how to use something like FreeNAS or Xpanology or something like that is just, I don't have time. I really don't. As much as I'd love to do it, I just don't. And so today I bit the bullet and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get an off-the-shelf NAS. So I got a Synology DS420J and stick some hard drives in it, and Bob's your uncle. One small snag I ran into, though, I went down to my local computer store, and they had the Synology NAS there, and I'm like, do you have, I want some WD Red 8 terabyte drives. I'll put a pair of those in to start with. And they only had one on the shelf. And so I said, look, can you sell me two, and just when you get the other one in, I'll just come and pick it up. And the guy's like, normally I would, but I'm not going to do that today because stock at our suppliers is getting really low on a lot of things at the moment, because there's a whole lot of people are just buying up computer hardware because of coronavirus, like COVID-19. I'm like, what? Why are people buying 8 terabyte drives to prep for coronavirus? And he's like, I don't know, mate. We've just had dozens of new game machines walk out the doors in the last couple of weeks, like way more than they would normally used to selling. And he said everybody's just hunkering down for spending the next couple of months just shut up in their homes. And he said, and everything's just selling out. So he said, I don't want to sell you an 8 terabyte drive just now, because if I contact my supplier, they might not have any, and they might not have any for a couple of months, given the way that things have been going. And I was like, wow. Well, that was unexpected. I mean, I know we've got the whole toilet paper fiasco going on, or canned goods and things like that, but computer parts? Well, nobody's immune, apparently, so I only have one 8TB drive for that right now, but fortunately, because of the way the Synology Hybrid RAID thing goes, you can just add disks later. So at least with the 8TB in that for now, I'll be able to upload all my media onto it, can share it to BD Dubs so she can get some video editing done and go through the 400 plus photos that we took the other day. And then when the extra 8TB drive comes in, I'll pop that in, add it to the RAID, and then I'll actually have redundant disk storage. So that's what's going on with me today. And thanks for watching. I think that's everything I've got to tell you about today. Super excited for all of the content that I've got to share with you coming up. And I'll see you next Monday. Cheers.